coffee. Hi, hello. Welcome back to How to Do Things with Me. Is that what this should be called? How to do things with me. How to do things with me. How to do things with me. How are you today? Oh, good. How am I? Well, I ate McDonald's for lunch. So that should answer emotionally where I'm at right now. How to do things with me. Welcome back. So I have to make this cake tonight, and I realized that it covered a fair amount of frequently asked questions that I get sent to me. People ask a lot of like, how do you get your cake so flat? How do you ice the cake to where it's even all around? How do you make those buttercream flowers? What is that gold stuff you use? So I figured, why not just show you all in one video? But what we're gonna start out with is this. I'm hoping to keep this under 5 minutes. I might regret saying that later. We'll see. I wonder if that would be possible. First question, how do you get your cake so even? Well, honey, I don't. I cut the tops off. Cake, when you bake it, is going to dome up on the top. So you can see like where it domed up on this. So what you do is you just start from the line of where it starts to dome, and you literally just slice the top off to get it to be even. And that's like the best part of the cake. My aunt calls it the cake skin. Ugh. And then I just take the scraps, I put them in a bowl, on a plate, whatever. You can make cake balls out of these. You can do all sorts of stuff. Sometimes I just eat it. There's another one over there that I've just been eating. That's not completely even, but at least it's not domed up on the top. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut the tops off of these two as well. Okay, so here's what I always do. I make my icing, and then I take a very large, I think these are 16-inch piping bags. I cut the end off pretty big, just so it'll come out, a lot will come out at one time. So what I do is I just pipe it out around the edges, and then I do another one in the middle until it's all covered. Then I just smooth it out. And it's okay if it kind of goes over the sides a little, you'll just use that as your crumb coat. Okay. Then I'm gonna do that again. And then I'll put the top on, and when I put the top on, I do it upside down because the bottom of your cake is always going to be flat. But just know that my top layer is always the bottom of the pan, because look how flat that is. So it's perfect. So then what I'm going to do is do a very thin crumb coat, which is basically just a really thin layer of icing. Like I said, for this one, I can just use some of what came out from in between the layers. And what the crumb coat does is, see all those crumbs in there? It catches those crumbs, and we're gonna stick it in the freezer so that that's like hardens up, so that those crumbs won't be in the outside coat, because you don't want chocolate or any color crumbs in your like main layer. So then you just take your spatula and make sure, like, you can tell that this is kind of slipping around a little. Before I stick it in the freezer, I'll just shore it up and make sure that it's not leaning too badly. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Stick it in the freezer for 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, so now let's answer the question of, how do you make your flowers? People are asking that because they want to know how I get the color just on like the tip of the flowers and it's not incorporated into the whole thing. Well, I'm going to show you. So first of all, you're gonna choose a color. This set of icing colors was given to me by my wonderful sister for Christmas. And like, it might be one of the things that I grabbed if my house ever caught on fire. I mean, the amount of hours that has saved me from having to mix up colors that I wanted, it's amazing. So typically for people's flowers, I go for a like maroon because it just shows up really well, because these are all going to be really concentrated. They're not going to look the same as if you had like mixed them into icing, because your icing's white and it's always going to dull it down a little. So I always go for something that's like kind of like that. Today, I don't know. See, this is I keep using the same thing and I keep wanting to try something different. People trust me, and then that makes me nervy. See, you really have to be strategery about it. Burgundy, eggplant, that's gonna be too dark. Yellow, I've never done yellow. What if I did like this? I've never used electric purple before. Let's do it. Purple's my favorite color. This is how you do the selective coloring. You take a skewer. I happen to have metal ones. They came in a set of something that I got once. I probably have never used them for actual skewering of meat. That's okay. Okay, so what you're gonna do, you're gonna take a piping bag. This is a 12-inch piping bag. It's kind of your standard piping bag. You're gonna get, this one is a Wilton 104 tip. It is smaller on one end and bigger on the other, and it's a little curved. I don't even know if you can see that. You know how people do that? I don't know how to do that. Okay, so you're gonna take that and you're gonna make sure that the tips of the tip line up with the seams of the bag. You are going to take and make sure the smaller end of your tip, not this tall end, but the smaller end, is on the side with the main seam. Fold your piping bag down. You're gonna take your skewer, you're gonna dip it in the color that you chose. This always makes me really nervous, so I kind of shake. You're gonna take the skewer and you're gonna very, very carefully put it inside the bag. Okay, you're gonna put it inside the bag. Don't touch the bag until you get to the seam. And then you're gonna run the skewer along the seam, just like that. And inevitably it's gonna be more concentrated in spaces. See how I got it right there? But honestly, it kind of works out okay because it just makes a unique pattern as the icing comes out. Like, it's not detrimental. So put all that in the seam as far down to the tip as far down to where the tip starts as you can. Night night, pretty colors. Then you're gonna fill your piping bag with white buttercream and you're just gonna squish it down all the way down, and you'll start to see how the buttercream meets the icing color. What's it called? Gel color? Gel now? Okay, here's what I do. I take a really small baking pan, I line it with wax paper, and that's where I'm gonna put my flowers. Okay, a couple of other things you're gonna need. You're gonna need one of these, and it has a name, and I can't think of its name right now. It just looks like a nail, with a big head on it. And then you can get you some of these. All this came in a set. And then these are just like, they're not scissors. You'll see what we're gonna use them for. They're plastic. So what you're gonna do, you're gonna take your piping bag, and the side with the icing is gonna go up, and that's the small side. The large side is gonna be the side that always touches or is always down while you're making the flowers. So here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna start out by just piping a little round triangle like that. Looks kind of like a rosebud. Then, and you can make it taller if you want, if that's a thing that you want to do. Okay? Like that. Then you're going to take your piping bag and you're going to start from one side and you're going to arch over to the other side. Then you're going to start a little bit behind where the last one ended and do it again. Arch over, and then you're going to do that again and arch over. And there you have a bud. Then you're just going to kind of keep doing that all the way around, and the larger it gets, the more of those you're going to do. So like we did 3 the first time, and now we're doing 4. And then we're going to do 5 probably this time. Now, I have watched a lot of people make flowers. And some of them, I feel like we're doing it from their Breaking Bad trailer. And some of them I just felt like they were better than me. And I just want you to know that I'm not better than you. Like, I taught myself to do this, a lot of trial and error. Icing consistency matters, but otherwise it's just a lot of like, oh, I messed that up, blunk, or you eat it, whatever. Okay, so these little guys stick underneath this, like so, and then you can put it there. Look at that. So that wasn't too bad. So let's do one more. I'm gonna do a smaller one. Okay, so we're gonna do this again, like just that. And we're gonna do arch, and we're gonna do arch, and we're gonna do an arch, and then another, and then another, and then another. And we have a little bud. Ta-da! Mine are always messy around the bottoms, and I just don't care. A lot of people would say you always need to keep the tip of your piping bag clean, and I'm like, I ain't doing that. So let's do one more. We'll do a big one. Arch, 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 arch the angel, arch, 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 arch the angel. Oh, that was a musical that my mother did with the children in our church when I was little. I was not in it, but I still know every word. You just keep adding until you're satisfied with the way it looks. It's just that easy. And I say easy, y'all. I understand that it's not just that easy, but once you get the hang of it, and once you realize that it really doesn't matter, you don't have to be perfect, then it's just fun. It just becomes really fun. Ugh. Okay, so I just went ahead and made the rest of the flowers, and then I take that tray of flowers, stick them in the freezer, and they can sit in there for as long as you need them to. I'm just gonna let them sit in there until I'm finished icing this. So the cake's been in the freezer, the crumb coat is solid. So now what I'm gonna do is, I bought these Cake Safe discs at cakesafe.com, and I've loved them. They are so good for this. So I just take it and I center it on the top of the cake. What I do is I make sure I still have enough icing in my piping bag to at least do this top part so that I can level it out. If I have enough for the whole thing, that's even better, but okay, I think we're good that way. We're good. Now we're good that way. So now I'm going to just put icing all the way around the rest of the cake. Just get a good coating on it. I'm not trying to like smooth it out necessarily. I'm just trying to make sure that the whole thing is covered with icing from the top to the bottom. And you'll see why that matters, because what you're gonna do is, this also came with the Cake Safe disc that I bought. It's just a acrylic scraper, and I take it and I line it up with the acrylic disc on the top, and then I just slide it around the side. What's going to happen is you're going to be able to kind of see where you don't have enough icing. So like you can tell that I don't have enough on the bottom on this side or right here. So I'm just going to take that icing and fill in the holes and then scrape again. That particular scrape did really well. I'm just gonna keep going. I'm gonna make sure that it's relatively smooth. I'll be honest, I've never been able to get it just like smooth like people who are like professionals. I don't know what kind of voodoo magic they've got going on, but this is about as good as it gets for me. I am gonna give it one more swipe with a very light hand. I'm not really pushing it all. I'm just letting it glide along the outside just to make sure that I've gotten it as smooth as humanly possible. So this is where what people tell you to do and what I do differ. And when I first got these acrylic discs, I did what it told me to do, and what it told me to do was to freeze it. Then you freeze it for like forever, and then you pull it out and you cut the top off. I just don't have good luck with that. Like the icing comes off in chunks and I have to fill in. Anyways, so what I just go ahead and do is I just run my spatula or a knife around, and I guess, I mean, yeah, it's kind of messy, but I've gotten the basic shape of what I'm going for on the top, so now I can just work with that. So I just take icing and put it on the top and smooth it, and then I'm gonna do one more thing before we put the flowers on. Okay, so after you basically smooth out the top as much as you can, it's gonna be weird around the edges, so you're just gonna take your spatula and fix that, and then just kind of scrape inward. So for this one, I actually kind of want it to look a little rustic on the outside. So I'm gonna take this just very lightly, put it on here, and I'm just gonna run it around. So, I mean, I'm just using like the lightest hand possible. You'll spin all the way to the top. For a cake like this, I actually kind of like to leave some icing around the top that's kind of sticking up. I just think it looks cute and a little bit more rustic. So next step is the gold on top. Okay, next question. What is the gold stuff and how do you use it? Well, it's actually a powder that comes in this teeny weeny little thing right here. So what I do is I take it, a little goes a long way. I've used a lot of it though. I tap a little bit into a little container. Then the best way to do it is to mix it with vodka. I have yet to send out a PSA to Starkville, Mississippi, and all of my church members at First Baptist that I need to go to the liquor store for vodka for baking and not for drinking. So I haven't been to the liquor store yet. So I have been using clear flavoring, almond extract to be exact. It doesn't work quite as well as vodka, but until I can get some, this is gonna have to do. Let me go back to why you use vodka. The vodka liquefies it, it goes on the cake, and then it evaporates. So like you're never gonna have any sort of inkling that it was ever done with alcohol, but the alcohol evaporates. This, it has I mean, it's gonna have a flavor and a smell, I mean, which is fine. So you just take it and you put in enough. You're just gonna mix it up kind of like you would paint. It's basically what it is like a gold paint. You want it to be liquidy enough so that you can splatter it, just like that. Y'all, last night I was doing this and I don't know what happened, but my hand accidentally flipped it this way and it went everywhere. On the cabinet, it was in my hair. Oh, it was everywhere, it was awful. So anyway, you just tap, 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 like you're splatter painting the cake, which is basically what you're doing. Oy vey, that's enough, that's good. Now you're gonna get your flowers out of the freezer. The reason you freeze them is because you can handle them when they're frozen. And the reason that I like to put them on top of the cake that hasn't been refrigerated again or frozen is because they can settle down into the buttercream better. And I'm gonna start with a big one and just plop it on and kind of shimmy it in as lightly as possible. Okay, then you just alternate the sizes to where it looks cute. And that's okay. You do have to be very delicate with the top sides because they're thin, so they'll like break off on you if you're too rough with them. Better too many than not enough. Inevitably. So the last step is, and something I did not on camera, is I mixed up some icing, very, very small amount of icing. I won't even use this much, with avocado green icing color. This is a leaf piping tip. This is a larger one. They come in smaller ones too. I kind of like the bigger one. I feel like I have a little bit more control over it. And then I'm gonna come in here and I'm just gonna pipe some leaves. Just as many as I feel like. Sometimes I use them to cover up the imperfections of my flowers. And basically the way you make a leaf is with the icing tip, it's a V, and you're going to hold it to where the pointy parts are at the top and the bottom, not side to side. So it's like you're going to point, it's going to be up, and then you're just going to squeeze and then pull, and it makes kind of like a triangle when it comes out. I think that's the thing, like at first when I started doing this, I was intimidated that it all had to be just perfect. And y'all, I'm not a perfect person, and to me, the imperfections kind of make it a little bit sweeter because it's like, I made that. Like, it was not produced somewhere, mass production, where everything's cookie cutter. It's like, there are things that aren't perfect about these. And I just kind of love that. I feel like that's kind of my signature. And that's basically how you do it. So fun. So thank you for watching. As always, you can leave questions, comments. You can find me on Instagram at Crystal Jenkins Bakes. I'm also on Facebook at the same thing, Crystal Jenkins Bakes. You don't have to live here in Starkville to follow me. Please, I would like for more people around the world to be able to enjoy this little hobby of mine as much as I do. So I know what you're thinking. Crystal, what are you wearing? Like, that's a frequently asked question. Well, I could have dressed up for you. I could have, but I wanted to be authentic, and I wanted to put on the same t-shirt that I've worn for the last 3 nights in a row when I've come home from work. It probably is tear stained. And for those of you wondering, Amen is Amen Corner at the Masters. I'm a huge golf fan. This is one of my favorite t-shirts. It's really soft. Should I eat this? I should. Look at that pretty cake. You should see the socks I have on right now. I will not show them to you. I will not. Okay. I don't want to wash dishes. It's the worst part. The worst part is the washing of the dishes. I don't want to. It's so pretty, it's so pretty. I got gold all over me. Okay, that's a wrap. Until next time, how to do things with me. How to do things with me. Needs work.